Hey guys, TrueWoWStories here, and I hope you like the intro I made for you. I received a comment yesterday saying that I looked like I was making a terrorist video, I guess what with the solid color-ish backdrop that actually looks like a curtain. In reality, it's a bedsheet. And so I decided to make a little bit of a parody on that, and a parody of another YouTuber I like to watch. If you know him, you'll know who it is. He makes gun-related videos, not necessarily video game-related videos. Sometimes those genres, cross over if you're interested, but I like to watch him whenever he posts something. Anyways, today's video, as I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about tanking. Now, I play a Blood Death Knight, which is currently the easiest tank to play in the game, to be honest. It doesn't have a very high skill ceiling. Monk tanking does. I suck at monk tanking. I tried it once. I failed miserably. I never touched it again. Now, druid tanking, I've done like at level 20 and I was okay at, so I can't really speak to that either. But from what I hear, druid tanking and monk tanking are right now, among the top in DPS for tanks. So if you want a tank who will not only keep aggro, but also keep up with some of your DPS, that's one of the tanks you want to go to. However, those are the two hardest tanks to play. Two other really good tanks are the plate shield tanks, the paladin tanks, and the warrior tanks. I have some experience with both of those. I've tanked in Mists of Pandaria as a paladin tank through a lot of the 5.1 raids. I haven't done TOT as my pally tank yet. In fact, I dropped that spec altogether in favor of red, because no one wants a holy prot pally. Anyways, and warrior tanking I've gotten to about level 70 or so with. A little before 70, I was still in Burning Crusade. So I understand some of the concepts behind warrior tanking. And I think both of those, they're different, but they're also pretty good tanks. They just don't deal out very much damage, but they are strong on the mitigation and keeping aggro. They can just keep absorbing hit after hit after hit. And especially paladin tanks, because once they do get low, they can then heal themselves back up. And they do have some raid cooldowns. Warriors have a couple too. And they're really nice. Then I play a Death Knight. Death Knight seems to be somewhere in the middle, which I like because it makes me feel more versatile, able to adapt to more situations. Now to talk about just tanking in general with the different expansions. Mists of Pandaria, excluding Mogushan Vaults, because at gear level, that one was really difficult to tank. There's a lot of shit going on and a lot of stuff going on in all the different fights. Don't know if I could say shit. I said it again. I'm gonna try not to say that anymore, just in case. Anyways, excluding all the stuff that's going on, like with Mogushan, the other ones are relatively easy to tank. Most of them are taunt swaps. Some of them are kiting. Not that much though. I mean, Empress is literally taunt swap at 3 or 4, depending on how confident you are, and go pick up ads. Shaw of Fear is stand in the big circle. They made tanking really easy in this expansion. Getting into Throne of Thunder, it gets a little more challenging, but not much. Excluding Dark Animus, that fight is the hardest boss fight, for tanks out of the whole expansion, in my opinion. It's not that hard in general, but it is the hardest for tanking. Just because you don't want those two ads to be next to each other. You gotta get really lucky and have them on either side of you. This isn't gonna be a video about a how-to for tanking though. Mogushan had a lot of stuff as you need to stand in this, you need to use your barrier here, you need to kill an ad all by yourself. Mechanic we see repeated in Twin Consorts. You need to, taunt, yes. Sometimes you just need to grab a million different ads from all over the freaking map and hold them onto yourself, otherwise your raid members are going to start dying. You need to drag the boss here, drag the boss there. It is more difficult than TOES, or Terrace, or Heart of Fear. But it's not as difficult as Mogushan was at gear level. Mogushan, assuming your item level's around 475 to 480, would be about the gear level for Mogushan Vaults, if you're going in there to get gear. Maybe 485 if you've already been in there to get gear. But this is assuming you're not doing any of the other ones, even in Raid Finder. like you're just doing Mogushan to get gear. That is far more difficult than doing Terrace or Heart of Fear, and slightly more difficult than Throne of Thunder. Now, I have a lot of tanking experience in Cataclysm because I tanked a lot there too. Cataclysm tanking seems to be around the Throne of Thunder level of tanking or the Mogushan level of tanking, depending on which raids you're looking at. Some of them were as extraordinarily difficult as Mogushan. Some of them, like Dragon Soul, were just easy in general, and you could just do it, kind of like Throne of Thunder. Except Throne of Thunder is harder on the other raid members than Dragon Soul was. Dragon Soul was the easiest raid in the game, in my opinion, but that's just my own personal opinion. Now, Wrath. I didn't tank too much during Wrath, but I did do a little bit. And tanking during Wrath, unfortunately, seemed to be about stam stacking, which is not something you see reflected nowadays. If there's a tank that has any pure stamina gems in them, they are either so high of a tier of raider that they're already like parry and dodge and mastery soft capped or even hard capped. That's when they're, just based on their gear stats and their reforge, maybe they're gemming stam. But unless you're doing heroic TOT right now, you should not have a pure stam gem in your tank set. The only gem I exclude from that is your meta gem. Tanking is a meta gem. The one I like to use is the one that's 432, and they have that number wrong, stamina, with 2% armor value. Just because that's really nice. That's the only gem, and it's not even pure stamina, it has armor value on it. But that's the only one that won't have any other secondary stats on it that's with stamina. Because even if it's a blue slot, you can throw Stam Mastery in there. Or Stam Haste if you're a Pally tank, because Haste is good for him. Now, if we go pre-Wrath, I don't know very much about tanking the raiding level at all. But from what I've heard, they used to not have tanks used to not have those threat buffs, such as Blood Presence, well, they had no Death Knights at all, and they had defensive stance with the Warrior, but Righteous Fury wasn't there, from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a note in the comments, or message me in game if you know me in game. But from what I understand, there's no like Righteous Fury. Like, you didn't get additional threat just for being a tank. You had to generate it. You had to use Devastate. You had to use your Judgment. You had to use all of these harder hitting abilities. And the abilities in the little tooltip, it says, this ability generates additional threat. And okay, these are the ones that I'm spamming as a tank. Otherwise, that ad, if you if you don't do that right, and you're fighting the Twin Emperors, and he decides to run back to this other friend because you couldn't generate enough threat, you've wiped the raid. That is AQ40, man. For those of you who don't know which boss I was just talking about, Twin Emperors. Soloable now, just off topic. Now, what I'm curious to see is the future of tanking. I'm curious where they're going to go with it. Are they going to... Because it seems like tanking is becoming easier and easier and easier as it goes on. And whether it's the tanking within the class or tanking with the mechanics of the boss are kind of two separate things. That they're trying to make tanking within the class so easy that when you're tanking with what the boss is doing, it's just like, you don't even have to worry about that, especially if you're a Death Knight. That's why I like being a Death Knight. This is just, the skill ceiling is so low that I'm already at that, or believe I'm at that, that, I can worry about all this other stuff, such as grabbing all the ads, holding the boss in the right spot. But it seems like they're just making those skill ceilings for tanks so low that anybody can tank, and especially if they're on a Death Knight, and that they'll just be able to look up and understand this other half of boss mechanics, most of which are even getting easier too. It seems like they're making tanking the role that you can just face roll in, which is not good. Tanking used to be the hardest role. It used to be really difficult, and I like that challenge, and it's just so easy now. I want more stuff to do, Blizzard. If any of you devs are watching this, make it more interesting for tanking. I don't even have abilities anymore that cause additional threat. All I have to do is be in Blood Presence, smack the boss 3 times, and he's mine for the entire fight. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's to the point where you don't even need to consider tanking really. I mean, you have to be really bad not to be a good tank in this expansion pack. Like, really bad. And it's all gear-centric, too. Like, you know, if you have good gear, if your item level is over 500, and you cannot tank any of the raids on normal mode, you got to be bad. Either that, or you just don't know the fight. In which case, watch a video, ask somebody. They're really easy to pick up as a tank. You'll learn the fight, you'll know it, you'll do better next time, you'll down the boss. Anyway, those are just my personal opinions for tanking. Today's Tuesday. I think for Tuesday I might do one of these discussions looking at retrospective stuff and, you know, how it was in the past compared to how it is now into the future. Let me know if you guys like this idea or don't like this idea. I was planning to make this video 5 minutes. It's 11 minutes now. But I'm sure you've noticed that there's tanking or video of World of Warcraft being played all around me or there somewhere. Not sure yet. I'm making the video before I record in gameplay. Probably not the best idea, but that's what I'm doing. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good day.